flying in.
Onegai, anata no sekai ni hairanai de, mada to itsumo, koko de anata ga hoshi. Would you rather have a place where you could be anyone you wanted to be, or would you rather be yourself anywhere? This is the question that the anime Horimiya sought to answer. The story mainly follows two characters, Hori and Miyamura, two classmates at Katagiri High School. And the major theme of this story is secrets, most especially the toll it takes on the person that keeps them. Hori is the popular girl at school. She's pretty, gets good grades, and is confident and outgoing. She's liked by both guys and girls and always seems to have a small crowd around her. However, on our way back home from school, we get to see another side of Hori. Hori has an absent father that nobody likes, and a mother that overworks herself to provide for the family. And as such, Hori often ends up being the caretaker of the house, spending whatever free time she has taking care of house duties and her little brother, Sota. It's often tedious work, and she's reluctant to letting other people know about this side of her because of how unappealing she thinks it is. That, and also the fact that Hori hates having to be the mother of the house. She wishes her parents never left her to be in charge, but because she understands why, she feels like she has to be strong, and this in turn makes it difficult for her to communicate and come to terms with these feelings, thus leading her to have a secret life that no one at her school knows about. And of course, because of this, she now has to deal with the pressure and stress of taking care of the house as well as being who she is at school, which she tends to handle pretty well until she doesn't. And on the other hand, we have Miyamura, the quiet loner. He's usually by himself, sulking and looking gloomy. He doesn't have any friends, and his classmates seem to have a hard time approaching him, almost completely writing him off as an otaku, the weird kind. However, through a chance slate of events, Hori's brother ends up getting injured, and guess who brings him home? Miyamura. But he looks so different that Hori almost doesn't recognize him until he says her name and tells her that they go to the same high school. It's almost too hard to believe as this Miyamura is outspoken, maintains eye contact, and looks pretty cool. Even Hori has a hard time believing it's the same person she's talking to when she invites him over to her house the next day as per her brother's request. Since they are both aware of each other's secrets, they find it easier to be themselves around each other, with Miyamura helping Hori out with some house chores and reducing the burden she bears from her secrets. They end up becoming very important people to each other and start spending a lot of time together outside and inside of school, which ends up becoming a problem when one of Hori's crushes takes notice and ends up confronting Miyamura about it. But even after being confident with Hori, Miyamura is still socially anxious at school and ends up having a hard time explaining himself to Hori's crush who intends to ask her out. The crush ends up confessing to Hori and telling her about what Miyamura said about their relationship, and how she was just being nice and he wasn't really anything special to her. Hori turns down the crush and confronts Miyamura about what he said, and for the first time, we start to see why he is the way he is. Miyamura, traumatized by his past experiences with bullying and isolation at his past school, resorted to spending time away from social spaces, and instead chased a carefree life out of school in an attempt to fill that void. And as such, Miyamura doesn't really believe or he doesn't really think that he deserves a social life and doesn't think of himself as someone worthy of having Hori or anyone for that matter. Which is why when he finds out that someone else likes her, he's quick to avoid her instead of fighting for her and making his intentions clear. Which is why even before Hori confronts him, he had already convinced himself that she was going to pick the guy over him. However, she proves him wrong and scolds him for thinking so little of himself. This surprises Miyamura and he ends up telling her his true feelings. Oh, and Hori threatens him never to leave her. It's quite wild, but it ended up being the catalyst for this amazing story and the positive transformation for the two of them. The first time I watched Horimiya, I fell in love almost instantly. I thought it was really cool how Miyamura fooled his classmates. They really thought he was a weirdo when he was out here looking like Timothy Chalamet. I wanted that. Growing up, I was really afraid of being alone, so I always tried to be what I thought the people around me wanted me to be. But it ended up having the opposite effect, because at the end of the day, I didn't have any real friends, and I didn't create any deep connections, and I didn't even know who I was. And so when I saw Miyamura and how much of a personality he had to share with Hori, I didn't feel like I had that. I didn't really feel like a person with much of a personality to share or something genuine and unique to give to someone else. I mean, I had my channel, but that was about it. I remember when I was in secondary school, I used to daydream a lot about becoming internet famous, attending interviews and making everybody regret not getting to know me while I was still at school. And I feel like I'm not the only one that was in this boat, as being an internet influencer is now one of the most desired jobs among growing adults today. I spent most of my high school days in my head thinking about all the amazing things that I would do and never, not once doing or trying to do any of them. And at the end of the day, I graduated with a pretty lackluster experience. Miyamura may not have been a chronic daydreamer like I was, but just like me, he wasn't happy with where he was. And instead of doing anything to change that, he chose instead to run away from it and ignore it. Today, I feel like if that's what you want to do, the means of escapism are endless. We have e-girls and pornography for people that are lonely and don't want to do anything about it. We have video games for the stagnant person to feel like they are progressing at something. We have more substances and drugs to abuse. And we have entire communities of people that just say yes to your opinions and are mainly there to just confirm your biases. The Red Pill may have started off as a community of hurt men that just wanted to make sense of their experiences, but over time we've come to see how that has grown into a space where people can openly voice their hatred for women.
In a serious relationship with a girl, she should not have an Instagram. That's cheating.
What to do if you have a girl at your place and she says, no, I don't want to have sex?
Who gives a fuck about a woman's orgasm? It's useless. And when women lose sexual leverage, guess what? They have no power, because that's their
minority groups, and spread all sorts of harmful ideologies like misogyny, fat phobia, transphobia, and so on. And we've seen the results with people like Alec Minassian and Elliot Rodger, people that felt more accepted in their own worlds and decided to take revenge on the real world.
Alec Minassian has been found guilty of murder and attempted murder for driving a van down Yonge Street in a murderous rampage back in April 2018.
Elliot Rodger's mass murder plot had come together over the course of the past year. All of it detailed in a chilling manifesto and disturbing video that he left behind.
You forced me to suffer all my life, and now I'll make you all suffer.
Miyamura may not have reached this extent, but the anime did not fail to show us a possibility. His violent bursts and social ineptitude that resulted from his lack of experience with real people other than his parents, and most importantly, how miserable and incomplete Miyamura felt as a person. He may have been having fun, adventuring alone, and getting spur of the moment tattoos, but he still carried his baggage with him. He was still gloomy, downtrodden, and socially inept. He may have found some form of escape, but generally he was still miserable, as was the same with Hori. It was until they were able to identify their problems and commit to solving them that they actually began to feel free and happy as themselves. The way I see it, more than a romance, Horimiya was a story about two depressed teenagers that helped pull each other out of their destructive cycles. The internet provides us with many luxuries that may seem superior to the original source material, but social media will never compensate for an actual conversation with a person and a real connection with a person, and this will never be better than an actual girlfriend, no matter how much money you throw at it. I'm sorry. It may be tempting to just stay inside your little bubble of joy, but life doesn't wait for you while you're there. With or without you, it keeps on moving. Sometimes I stare at my friends while they're talking to other people, and I'm just like, wow, how are you that good? Meanwhile, I'm out here talking like Miyamura. Making this video, I couldn't help but feel grateful for the friends and family that I have. And thinking about people that may not have these things, I understand that being yourself can be a very difficult thing to wrap your head around. I know I didn't want to be myself when I was in high school, but just as Hori saw the value in Miyamura, I think it's important that we learn to see the value in ourselves as well, because it's there. You just have to push yourself beyond what you think you can or cannot do, and trust me, you'll be proud of the person you find at the end. And it will be worth all the effort. And you and I can help these people. We don't have to be as aggressive as Hori, but we can let them know that we appreciate it when they are themselves and give them a place where they can just do them and not be judged. Be the reason that someone chooses to stay in the real world. And also, check out the anime, check out Horimiya. There's a new season coming out later this year, and I want us to experience that together because you know we will, because you know I'm watching it, and yeah. I guess that's all for the video. See you guys next time. I've been Rema. This is me, flying out.